From prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. Welcome to Creature Guide Live Prehistoric News. We have changed our format. You can catch our current animal news at Creature Guide Live Animal and our live streams at Creature Guide Live TV. Now, let's dive into the prehistoric news of the day. From Sci News, new species of plant eating dinosaur identified in Argentina. Paleontologists have identified a species of medium sized iguanodontian ornithopod dinosaur from two specimens found in northwestern Patagonia, Argentina. A lot of the different dinosaur specimens that tend to come out of Argentina um, tend to be mentioned from somewhere around 95 to 100 million years ago, like the first 5 million years of the late Cretaceous. So I'm guessing what's going on here is this is possibly an early Cretaceous iguanodontian herbivorous dinosaur. Though occasionally you also hear certain Triassic dinosaurs, especially the carnivorous Herrerasaurs mentioned in Argentina. But in between those two realms, or before, shortly before or after, not so much is talked about, which is interesting because many dinosaur fossils, or just a variety of species, do come from Argentina. So let's see what we have here. Are those feathers? Interesting. I mean, certain reconstructions of even smaller species of iguanodontian, which I'm guessing this is a small individual, um, are sometimes portrayed with feathers. The thing is that there isn't any evidence at the moment for any iguanodontids to have had feathers, not even their young.
What am I looking at a beak? Because it doesn't look like one.
Yeah, that distinct upper, not exactly a lip, but yeah, you could say beak. Earlier reconstructions with certain herbivorous iguanodontids, or even the later ductile dinosaurs, the hadrosaurs, used to be reconstructed with a horizontally or just a forward-facing beak. And the truth is that in reality, their beaks would have pointed towards the ground. So that's what this illustration actually gets right. So let's see. Very interesting feet, though. This is not a normal iguanodontid, even its hands. Anyway, life reconstruction of the early Rhabdodontomorph dinosaur. Oh, okay. So this is a member of the Rhabdodontomorph um, lineage of iguanodontids. Ioni smithi. Emiliasaura alessandri lived in what is now Patagonia during the Valanginian age of the early Cretaceous epoch, some 138 million years ago. Yeah, I believe this is takes place somewhere between 130 to 140 million years ago when referring to the Valanginian age of the early Cretaceous period. Knowing early Cretaceous dinosaurs is critical for gaining insights into the evolution of those clades that are characteristic of younger Cretaceous faunas. Dinosaur diversity around the Jurassic Cretaceous boundary represents a unique chapter characterized by the establishment of several major lineages. Yeah, the Jurassic Cretaceous um, time, so somewhere around 145 million years ago, or you could say like the 150 to 140 million year timeline, hosts a wide variety of different new groups, or you could even say like just the introduction to a wide variety of different species of like the ceratopsians, different species of ankylosaurs, and also at this point you have the different species of iguanodontid ornithischian dinosaurs, which as well as ceratopsians and the ankylosaurs are a part of. But the thing is that you just had a major boom, or a skyrocketing amount of species from these different clades evolving, as well as the long necked sauropods. However, our knowledge of dinosaur diversity during the earliest part of the Cretaceous is poor, especially in South America. Yeah, I would say from about 135 million years ago to 145 million years ago, there isn't very much. I mean, there's more in recent times, but that part of the Cretaceous, there hasn't been many fossils in different regions that have been discovered. So Emiliasaura alessandri belongs to Rhabdodontomorphae. So Rhabdodontomorphae would range into they would make it to the very end of the age of the dinosaur, so about 66 million years ago. So you would have small member they weren't usually very large, somewhere around 8 feet in length. Animals such as Zalmoxes from over in Romania and Hungary, somewhere around 67 million years ago. a group of early Guadalcantian dinosaurs within the clade Ornithopodae. This is referring to the ornithopods, which were basically the wide variety of different iguanodontids as well as the hadrosaurs. This dinosaur group consists of small to large plant eaters from Europe and Gondwana. Emiliasaura alessandri represents the first Rhabdodontomorpha record from South America. Oh, okay, this is really good to hear. You tend to hear Rhabdodontomorpha coming in from different parts of Europe, possibly Australia and Antarctica, maybe even certain parts of southern Africa, but not so much South America, and is currently the oldest and more primitive member of the clade. Wow. Okay, so this is really fascinating to hear. Now, when referring to also the guandontids, they, unlike the Rhabdodontomorphs, technically the Rhabdodontomorphs they're a member of the Guandontians. So this is Decododon. And Decododon actually existed over in South Dakota somewhere between 130 to 135 million years ago during the early Cretaceous. And this is a very close relative to the European iguanodon. And Decododon probably, so this is part of the upper skull bone of the animal. So it is pretty intact. So you can tell that this animal was most likely an herbivore due to the shape of the molars. But Decododon could reach somewhere around 20 to 22 feet in length, so a little over 6 meters, and probably reach a little over a ton or somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500 pounds. It was found in the Lakota Formation of South Dakota. And this animal would have even have coexisted with different species of carnivores such as the Utah raptor, which could reach somewhere around 17 feet in length, and in some cases would weigh over 1,600 pounds. And Decododon had to be very vigilant with those predators. But the thing is, this picture right here, this is actually the Guandon from the 1999 series Walking with Dinosaurs. The It was a great representation for the time. The problem is that when this comes to all iguanodontids, it would not have stood in this downward sort of posture. Also, the forelimbs are a little too stocky, and as well as the forefeet are a little too wide. Now, the thing is that something like this is a bit more realistic. However, even I'd say like the forelimbs on this supposed Decododon as well as the hind limbs are a little too stocky. I'd say this picture is a bit closer, but this animal should still have more muscle over on its hind legs. But the front legs are a bit closer to what Decododon would look like. I'd say the larger iguanodontids were much more muscular compared to even later hadrosaur species. So this animal was probably munching on different species of ferns as well as some of the first flowers that happened to evolve. So this new species formed part of a diverse early Cretaceous Phalangian dinosaur assemblage, which also includes diplodocid and Drychosaurid sauropods and Carcharodontosaurid theropods. Um, well, I mean, if you're looking at different species from around the world, then yes, this is true. But technically, if you're talking Carcharodontosaurs, they have only been found in different parts of Africa as well as South America. The holotype specimen, oh wait, Emiliasaura alessandri is represented by two fossilized specimens collected from different sites and stratigraphical levels of the Milikinko Formation. The holotype specimen includes the cricoid, the proximal end of a scapula, a humerus, and a complete right hind limb, whereas the paratype specimen preserves vertebral elements, IMO arches, an incomplete pelvis, and nearly complete hind limbs. So this is really good to hear. They've found a decent portion of the skeleton. I don't believe it said anything though about the skull, but it happens with many new species of dinosaurs where they have found a decent amount of the core of the body in general, but not a single slice of the skull. So also when it comes to Animals that lived earlier in time, bit distantly related to the ornithopods, such as the Heterodontosaurs, such as Heterodontosaurus. Now, this animal lived over in South Africa, and specifically, also even Swaziland or Lesotho, which is the tiny territory in the midst of eastern South Africa.
Why does Swaziland sound like a made up place?
I think it's like an ancient tribe that existed in the region. I think it's might also be known as it's not hitting me. Anyway, um, Heterodontosaurus. There's also not really any evidence for this animal having feathers, though this is a good representation. I mean, just like certain other small herbivores, it is certainly possible that they could have had feathers, especially with the smaller sizes.
What about those teeth?
So this has been up for debate for a long time, at least since the early 2000s, as to what Heterodontosaurus would have fed on. In South Africa, also somewhere around 200 million years ago. So Heterodontosaurus existed during the beginning of the Jurassic. And during this time, it definitely wasn't one of the largest dinosaurs, but it also wasn't necessarily tiny for the time. Heterodontosaurus reached a length of somewhere around 8 feet or what, 2.5 meters, and could probably reach somewhere around 40 to 90 pounds or anywhere between 20 to 40 kilograms. And originally, actually, was it? Yeah. Originally, it was thought to possibly have been a carnivore due to the distinct tusk teeth at the tip of its snout. But several different studies argued this, and it looks like it's much more agreed upon that Heterodontosaurus would have been an herbivore. Also, when you look at the distinct molars towards the back of its dental structure. I don't know. Let me think in the comments, or let me tell me in the comments if you think that this animal might have been more of a carnivore as opposed to an herbivore, or why you agree with that as well. It was not too closely related to the iguanodontids, despite it having a ornithopod sort of look. So here is basically a replica of the specimen that was discovered. So this is an exact copy. It's very well preserved.
So it's not a fake, it's an actual.
Yeah, this is an actual copy. So let's see. The new species has an interposterior, interposteriorly elongate ilium with a sigmoidal dorsal border and broad brevis shelf and femur shaft with an extensive proximally positioned fourth trochanter, and a second uh, pedal digit with a short, robust, blunt, ungual phalanx similar to those in Ankyloplexiae ornithopods. Okay, interesting. I'm definitely going to have to look into that last part later a little more in depth. But this is good to hear that we found the oldest type of iguanodontid Rhabdodontomorph from Argentina. Now, last it's just simply due to the fact that this was an animal that existed around the same time as Decododon, but over in Europe. And this is Baryonyx walkeri. And this is one of the more well-known species of Spinosaurs. So this is a early relative of Spinosaurus aegypticus.
So there's more than one Spinosaur.
Yes, there's at least 12 different species that I can think of. Now, this is specifically a member of the Baryonychini lineage of Spinosauridae. So, Spinosauridae is the whole family of which consists of at least three different subfamilies. And the interesting thing about Baryonyx, besides it living over in Sussex, England, around 100 and somewhere between 130 and 135 million years ago, it has one of the, shortest back vertebra of any member of the Spinosaur lineage. Even if you look at later descendants such as Suchomimus, which existed over in, Chad, Cameroon, as well as Niger somewhere around 110 million years ago, it still has you can see that distinct elongated back vertebra, but it's not really something that you see too much of in Baryonyx. Almost nothing compared to most Spinosaurs. Baryonyx could reach a length of somewhere around 30 feet or a little over 9 meters and probably weigh somewhere between 2 to 3 tons. So this was one of the largest carnivores in the region that it inhabited. It's also been up for debate for a long time as to the um, how the snout, so the skull, would have been able to deal with the pressure from even smaller prey items, specifically like maybe smaller iguanodontids on land, or how it would come into contact with fish, as well as like the different hunting strategies. It's very possible that Baryonyx might have hunted somewhat like a stork or a heron. However, due to different studies on the biomechanics of how Spinosaur necks were structured, that's possibly a bit unlikely. Now, it is very possible with its distinct claws, especially the elongated index finger. I mean, this is one of the largest compared to its body size of any species of Spinosaur. It's very possible they might have been able to snatch fish with these distinct claws, or let me know in the comments if you think otherwise. But so far, I mean, there have been also evidence from different spinosaurs in different regions of the world, especially Brazil, where there were bite marks on a species of pterosaur, indicating also coming from a species of Spinosaur in the region. So, indicating that there were different species of Spinosaur that had a varied feeding structure. However, pterosaurs were one of the weakest things to take down, so it's probably not a great representation. Anyway, let me know in the comments what your favorite species of plant eating carnivorous dinosaur is. And from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guide Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you love talking about animals, and share this show with everyone you know, because nothing is better than all animals all the time.